Hey guys, this is DFD, aka Dark Frozen Devs, back with another Kamihime project video. Now, first things foremost, if this microphone doesn't sound all that great because this is the internal microphone from the new laptop, I do have two ways to actually put up a better microphone, but you might still hear the wind thing when I start recording because, you know, it's hot, I have a fan, so there you go. I don't necessarily have an air conditioner because my room would probably start a fire if I did. So, yeah, that's just the problem with plugs and all that. So, sorry if you keep hearing the whole fan blowing thing when the recording starts. There's not much I can do besides turning off my fan and baking when I do a video. But, second thing, the event for this has already started, so I've actually seen a little bit of what goes on with it, and I gotta admit the music is amazing. I like it. I like both of them actually, but definitely the main event boss who's called Yata no Kami, but she's called well, it's weird. The translations can end up different ways, but Yata no Kami is the way they're going to go by. Split by the pronunciation, so it'll be Yata space no space Kami space. And on top of that too is the fact that you also can indeed get some decent stuff here. I gotta talk through all that one. And another thing I've gotta mention too is that right now there's still events that you may want to pay attention to. The first and foremost one is still the guild competition thing. That's going to be around for a while, and it's still going to last for quite a bit. Given the fact that some people can get stronger or whatever, I mean, I probably did, going back and double checking some stuff and probably coming up with the different strategies. Not to mention if I somehow get a light exceed weapon. But there's different things that can still be done with that event because of the fact that you can still get stronger. My base stats have increased, but they're still just below 64,000. And who knows, I might actually get enough light canvas in order to get extra accessory slots. Do your best whenever your teams upgrade. Simple as that. I know for a fact my light team will blow any other team out the water, including my fire team taking on the wind skill checker. So that said, whenever your teams get stronger, you might actually want to double check and see if you get more damage, because the way that works is that you get your best damage from each element combined. So if you did 50 million on each one, then you're going to have a total of 300 million. So that's how that works. But there's also a reward total that you need 55 million in order to complete. So there's that too. But anyways, getting on to the actual event as well. Keep in mind that it goes for by rate event, so you have to get Divine and Double Souls, so it goes by that reward system. Newer players will definitely like this because you can get help from it. This is the second new event we had in a row that's been a raid event as well. I gotta point that out. So it's a decent time for newer players, especially since this Idolin actually could be kind of useful. And I can give more clarity on the special attack thing now because I figured out how it works by looking up a few things. But this is a Thunder event. Break out your Wind team if you want the advantage, or if you want Stinger to come into effect. I found that out too about weapon effects. But Yata no Kami is the SSR summon. You can get some decent SR stuff as well, including a free version of Susanoo O, and that will be a win one. So keep that in mind. And I say a decent version, I mean she's got some helpful stuff, but other than that, it's kind of so-so. But she's still free, so why complain about it? But of course, because this is a raid event, you have to go through the storyline, eventually get your standard grinding in there in order to get materials to grind Expert, and Expert will give you materials for Ragnarok. It's the same formula that I don't think it's ever going to change. But at the same time, do as much as you can on all of these because it's more magic jewels, and then on top of that, I almost said gems because it says it on the screen. And then on top of that too is the fact that when you start a raid, because I forgot to mention this in previous videos, when you start a raid, you are actually guaranteed 1 soul from Expert or Ragnarok. So if it's Expert, you're guaranteed a Divine Soul. If it's Ragnarok, you're guaranteed a Devil Soul. That's more initiative to start your own because it opens up the opportunity to get possibly 3 souls in one run. So there you go. And Standard, of course, can still drop them too, but only Divine ones. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, for Yata Kami herself, she gives special attack for Thunder. And the whole kicker with that will be explained when we actually take a look at her. But it is a little bit better than I thought, but still kind of situational. But that's something that I have to explain a little bit later. The SSR weapon is going to be, by the looks of things, a bow, but it's called a Knight's Sword, which is weird. But it still can help you out a little bit more, so we'll go over that as well. And of course, Susanna O, we're going to go over eventually. Here's the main thing I want to get to first and foremost. You're going to deal with a lot of stuff that can interrupt your turns or abilities. That's the biggest thing about all these fights, so keep that in mind. Now, going into the standard enemy, who I wish we could have because she's a fox girl, but going into the standard enemy, she will strengthen her own effects in normal burst, and she can put rampaging on herself in the second effect, but at the same time, she's got a trigger where she'll deal some damage and whatnot. Now, this isn't where you can actually have your turns interrupted, but you got to keep in mind that the Expert and Ragnarok fights will. The reason I mention that all fights, because standard, you probably just blow through unless you're really, really weak. So keep that in mind. But where you actually have to worry about paying attention to enemy attacks is definitely Expert and Ragnarok, because restraint is going to be the biggest thing. Period. This boss is all about restraint, and what that will do is have both the effect of Dizzy along with debuffs. So, restraint in general will lower your defense, and I don't think it does count towards the defense buff total either. It might actually go outside of it, just like Sleep would, but I don't know that for sure. What does really hurt that, though, is the fact that it will indeed have a chance of preventing you from making a turn, just like Dizzy. So that's a dangerous thing, because you're getting a defense drop and a Dizzy effect in one. So keep that in mind. It's going to happen regardless of what burst it is, it just determines how many get hit by it. Normal burst, one character. Raging burst, the whole team gets hit with it. And then there's a special attack that can trigger as well. She has a special trigger on top of that. And what it will do is just randomly hit people 3 times. It has a chance of happening when she gets hit, and it always tends to happen whenever she's enraging. So you got to keep that in mind. She will start racking up damage quite a bit, but it's not too bad depending on your HP. The biggest thing is definitely that restraint, because raging is going to do a lot of restraint to your people, so you may actually want to keep her out of raging mode as much as possible. Excuse me. Especially given the fact that raging will trigger her special move, so it will just randomly keep nuking you 3 times. It's like a guaranteed triple if you want to be honest. It just hits anybody. Behemoth could be good in this too if you have her. She's a gacha Idolin that can, when summoned, will remove status effects off of you. Sorry, my throat's a little dry. But the thing with Behemoth is that her HP's high and her attack power is low. She's better as a sub if you ask me, but as a main Idolin she can help 3 different elements, so it's dependent on if you have 100% Idolins or not. So if you have Behemoth, you can put her in the sub slot so she can actually help with the restraint. It just depends on the timing and all that. That said, it could be suggested to actually take a soul that can remove it. So that's something to know. Sorry. Yeah, dry throat, no water. Forgive me for that. But anyways, speaking of souls that can remove it, Vivian's definitely one. Someone that can prevent it is Mordred, and I forgot her name, but there's a tier 2 one that actually comes with the combo rate debuff, so her as well. I can't think of it. I think it's Asmund, but yeah, they can give you some resistance towards it. For those of you that are using Light or Thunder, you can also have Phoenix to give you some resistance, so that's something to know. There's probably other Kamihime and stuff, but those are the things that really come quickly to mind. And unfortunately, you're probably not going to have Phoenix if you haven't been in the game for a while, so that's a good thing. That's a big thing about that. So it's a good thing if you've been a long time player for this one, or at least long enough since the last Phoenix event. And naturally, to get all the rewards, you need to get 250 Divine and 100 Devil. If you want to get everything that matters, 225 Divine and 95 Devil Souls. So there you go. But just to get the SSR stuff, you need 50 Divine and 55 Devil. So there you go for that one. And naturally, the more participation points you get, the more raids because you get up to 300 bonus ones. The missions themselves too, I know them by heart because I've seen them in game. Of course, it's always R rarity for expert, and you have to solo it. And for ultimate, not ultimate, Ragnarok, it's fire, which does put me in a good position as long as my fire team can survive. I may need Jones' weapon for that though. But you have to use fire in Ragnarok and solo that. So for those of you that haven't built up a fire team, you're probably not getting the Ragnarok mission. They're both just extra raid gacha tickets, so it can give you up to 80 more pretty easily, but it's up to you. Me personally, I've had a decent amount of luck pulling extra SSR stuff from those, but it depends on the person. But from what I can gather from everybody's stories and whatnot that I've heard, you probably have about a 0.1% chance to get an extra SSR item from there, so there you go. But the other reason why you aim for it, I have to say it in every video, extra magic jewels, extra gems, extra plus items. You might even pull some SR weapons and whatnot that help skill leveling better than R weapons. You could also pull energy seeds and stuff. This is a very good event to try and stock up on a lot of crap, so you might actually want to go out your way for extra tickets, or just grind the hell out of the event. I've seen people actually grind this event to the point where they had hundreds and hundreds of souls for both counts, like even thousands, just to get extra stuff from the gachas. So there you go for that one. You can get Dragonic Eye Shards too. I suggest you get those, because they're not exactly easy to come by. But here's where some of the weapons can actually be pretty useful across the board. So it depends on what you need. Now, Yata is special attack. What happens with her is the fact that it's 10%, and then it also increases as your HP drops, just like a Pride weapon. So it is literally just like a Pride weapon. It's not a 0% at the start. So what happens is you'll get 10%, and then the remaining amount, based on how much he's broken, as far as I can tell, will increase based on how low your HP gets. So it's guaranteed for when you maximum break her, which you should do, by the way. It'll be 10%, and then the remaining 40% is based on how much HP you have remaining. My guess is that it'll do the same thing for the lower ones too, where it'll be 10% and then the remaining 20% if you haven't had any break limits on her. But the biggest thing is the fact that summoning her can do restraint. Now, it's a low chance to actually land restraint, and then it's even lower for it to actually interrupt turns. So you're really fighting RNG. But the whole thing is you still get an extra defense debuff while that's going on, but it's only for 90 seconds, so make it count. It's half the time of a normal debuff. So that's something to remember. Because with her, and possibly even, what was her name? Hypno, who could actually land sleep, you could probably do a lot of extra damage. just off of those two. Because if I am right, restraint isn't factored in with the elemental defense and the normal defense drops, so it'll go outside of that. I know sleep definitely does, but it has a chance of getting removed. This is something that won't. It'll have to get forcibly removed or time runs out. Even then, her attack power is pretty nice. Her HP is pretty up there too. She's worth keeping. Not to mention, I know I'm going to keep her because I like animal girls and a snake girl definitely counts. But, anyways, here's where it gets a little weird. The Knight's Sword, which is a freaking bow, yes, I had to stop there, is a large assault. Now, if you're like me, being one of the later players in the game, you don't really need this because you're aiming for dual skill weapons and this doesn't have a final break. But for anybody that's still trying to get SSR weapons on their grid, then this is definitely for you because it's got assault. So there you go. And if you're trying to set up a bow setup for Thunder, because you may have the Phantom Bow, that helps too. Now, the wind weapon that gives you Susanoo O, this is where it gets a little bit interesting because it gives you a medium elaborate. And what that does is increase your ability damage by a lot, but also increases the ability damage cap by a little bit. So, newer players can actually get some use out of this. Or if anybody's using, say, a Wind Team and Thunder Tower, I don't know. Because it will help you out with the weaker ones. There's a bunch of different setups you could possibly do with this one. It may be worth using for the newer players, but the later ones definitely won't. So keep that in mind. Because when you're a newer player, ability damage definitely will be one of your biggest assets, so that's something to know. Especially if you're using some of the characters that get spikes from it, like, say, Neptus when you hit him with stun, but that's something to know. Now, this is a Thunder Gun for SR, and this is where it also gets even more interesting. It comes with Defender and Ascension, both small. When you're starting off, HP could actually be a little bit important, and normally you wouldn't take it from an SR weapon, but the fact that this gives Ascension with it, which will increase your healing amount, that can help you a lot, so it might actually be worth using this gun. So you gotta keep that in mind. And again, newer players will probably get more use out of this than the later ones. Newer players will get a lot more use out of all of this, so that's something to know. And for the last remaining one is just a medium assault. If you're still trying to build up assault weapons, this will help you out there too. It's an axe though, so keep that in mind. And then of course the other thing you can probably get is grails, but that's from the rewards. That's self-explanatory because you don't really need them for equipment, you just need them to get your equipment stronger. Now, like I said, here's all your different missions. It's R rarity for expert and you have to soul it. It's fire for Ragnarok and you have to soul that. Now, the one last thing I have to look over is the temporary chance of getting Susanoo. You have to know what she's dealing with, and you're going to probably get her pretty quickly. But just like her previous one, she's more ability damage oriented than anything else, but she still can recover her HP. That's something to know. Now, what she's based on is some speed mechanic type thing, where the more she uses her abilities, the stronger they can get. And I think her burst also applies off of it too, but I'm not sure. But the main thing is that I do believe she increases her own defense, and then also gives herself HP recovery. So if you have somebody that can put attract on her, then you're kind of good for another tanky character. Wind tends to have some tanky characters if you look for them. But it's a defense increase, and then basically the whole wind speed thing increases the attribute, the damage, and then on top of that, the damage cap. Meaning she gets her own elaborate. This is where that one weapon can also kick in too. That wind weapon will also keep her HP up a little bit higher because it's going to increase her recovery. And then on top of that too, when you actually start, it increases her recovery even more. They don't have exact details on this, but that weapon can increase her max HP and then also increase her recovery rate, which makes her even more tankier. So that's something to know. And then, like I said, the wind speed thing will just start increasing her damage. The fact that it works like an elaborate really does help her out quite a bit, because it'll give her more ability damage. Like I said, for newer players, this can be good. If you're looking for ability damage, then maybe. But other than that, you might just end up forgetting about her, just like her normal SSR version. Because even Awakened, she's still not doing too much, but she still can do a lot. Because the ones that literally do too much are the ones that focus on burst and huge debuffs and buffs and all that type of stuff. She's just rapid fire nuke if possible. But this one's more so rapid fire than the other one. And it's not even all that rapid in her Awakening for SSR too, so you gotta keep that in mind. But it does increase her damage over time. And this one definitely works a lot better that way. Honestly, if you would have switched this with her SSR version, that probably would have came out a lot better. That's something to know. But yeah, her main ordeal is pretty much wind damage nuking, period, point blank, and a little bit of tankiness. So there you go. She's definitely somebody you might want to place in the front if you're trying to have damage absorbed, because the front characters tend to get attacked more than the back. Tend to, but stranger things can happen. Now, that's all for this event. The only other thing I can mention too is the fact that there's been a SP quest that I've been paying attention to where it keeps having a timer but keeps coming back every day. Those are the weapon quests and the Dolan quests. I don't know if it's part of just this event or if it's permanent until they change the system to experience orbs, which will happen later down the line. But it's worth grinding because of the fact that A, it gives you more magic jewels, and B, the drop rates seem to have increased. Because I tend to get a hell of a lot more chest dropping from both of those. Especially on the higher ones, which is Expert. Because you can easily see a lot of enhanced materials drop from those stages. Now, you might be overloaded from the Union events, because we kind of been going back and forth between Union event and normal raid one. But keep in mind that if you do need to still level up some Hime or need to level up some weapons, the weapon one can still help you out quite a bit. The experience one, maybe not as much, because you tend to have a lot less Dolan's one to level up through that one, so the Dolan thing will be kind of But definitely the weapon one, because my big thing is that when I'm not leveling any weapons up, then I'm feeding all those weapon materials to my Kamihime, and it's giving them bonus experience points, basically. Now, granted, the Sunday quest is definitely the best one to grind, but since that's been taken off a permanent, now would probably be a good time to grind the weapon one if you really need to level up your Hime. Especially if they're light-based, because if they are light-based, you will be getting extra experience points from those weapon materials. And that's guaranteed. For some weird reason, Kamihime go the same route as Dolans, where they get bonus experience for matching element, not weapon type. So, that said, you could feed up to 15,000 experience points, 30,000 if it doubles to light Kamihime. That's a huge jump. But anyways, that's all for this. The only other thing I can mention is that I'm hearing that supposedly we're going to get Accessory Quest rank 6 pretty soon. So I may do a video on pretty much accessories, because we're going to need to start focusing a lot more on those. Especially since rank 7 should be happening in winter, from what I'm hearing. So that's something to know. But I'm also blowing rank 5 out the water, so rank 6 is definitely going to be what I'm focusing on. But anyways, that's all for this. More of this is going to come soon, because you know I'm going to do videos at the new event. I'm also planning a special video. I keep saying that, but I tend to not be able to get around to it because I'm trying to get a certain somebody in it. But it's not happening as quickly or as easily as I thought. So bear with me on that one, guys. And I will try to have my Discord in these videos. I said it in a previous one, but sometimes I forget. Again, remind me if I don't post it, because if you want to join the Discord, you're going to need that link. And there's quite a lot of people that can actually help you out there, too. Not to mention, we tend to have a little bit of fun on that Discord, too. It's kind of like your own personal little circle, if you want to be honest. So it's worth checking out. Not to mention, this isn't the only game that we discuss on that Discord, too. And I also realized I kind of left it on Susanoo's tits for a while. I'm not even going to sugarcoat that. Let me scroll down a little bit. But anyways, that's all for this. Like I said, more videos are going to come soon. I've gotten back into Elsword, guys, so, because I do have to admit, the way they did, Metamorphy is really, really fun, actually. So, I'm trying to get powerful enough to get into the new areas, but unfortunately, I'm going to have to wait until at least getting the next, L Resonance page, because I really need that boost from all the skill damage and all that. And I'm only level 98 on L Resonance, so yeah. But anyways, that's all for this. Like I said, more of this stuff's going to come soon. Sorry for all the different errors and stuff I had earlier, but hey, I don't rehearse this crap. I just go as is. It's just my kind of thing. And like I said, Accessory Quest Rank 6, definitely coming out soon. Prepare yourselves, because it's going to be a little bit harder than Rank 5. Especially since some enemies will flat out kill you. But, yeah. And then on top of that too, last thing I really gotta mention, Guardian Angel fights will be on their way eventually. We'll start getting them, but I have no clue when that's going to happen. Just keep in mind that you think Ragnarok was a little bit interesting, things will get more interesting with the Guardian Angels, because we'll get access to a hell of a lot better weapons too. So there's something to know. But the Ragnarok Catastrophe fights are honestly a bit of a hassle. Maybe not the dark one, but that's because I'm a light main. But they all can be issues, so just have at it, guys. Maybe you'll get a Phantom Weapon. You'll probably get Cavus more often than the Phantom Weapons. I'm starting to see them drop a lot more, so I just need to grind. But other than that, that's all I can really say for those. And you do need a lot of Cavus in order to get them extra accessory slots, but believe me, it is worth it once you get that Tiara set effect. That will ruin bosses' days. But anyways, that's all for this. Let me quit extending the video, and take care.